Hey, how you guys doing? Hopefully, a lot of you guys are doing pretty good. But for those of you guys who aren't doing too good, just know we're thinking about you. We're rooting for you guys. Keep your heads up, especially when when you're weak, you gotta act strong. And when you're strong, make sure you act weak. But in those times when you aren't that strong, you gotta really show that confidence. It's hard. It's not easy. But there are opportunities that aren't gonna wait for you. And you have to be ready. You have to be prepared. And you can be physically prepared everywhere outside, but intrinsically, you have to make sure you're mentally prepared for what you're gonna do. And as you guys could tell by that title, how confident do you have to be to succeed? I know with what I talk about, it was a little bit with the relationships and guys, incels who need to get their head in the game right where they need to be. But this isn't just that. It isn't just with when you go up to women and how to succeed with them. It could be the confidence you need to be able to start a business, or just the confidence you need to really perform at your best if you're an athlete, a performer, the such. The confidence you need. I feel that I've had this sort of level of confidence that I've carried with myself in different aspects all over. And a lot of it's come from a lot of different places. Experience. I've had a lot of wins under my belt with, some of you guys may relate, your day is a lot better if you go up to a girl and ask for their number and they give it to you. That's it. You don't even have to be able to get to the point of sleeping with them. Just getting the number makes you feel more confident. Or if you're in sales, getting that first customer, getting that first sale, it's going to boost your confidence, liven you up, get you ready to keep on the hunt for the next. And over time, all those wins under my belt gotten me to have this sort of confidence that I don't take to just when I was first meeting my girlfriend, or when I go to work, or just go out in the world. It travels with me. And outside of this and my channel, I have started another business venture that I was just beginning. And I was gonna start by actually, not to get into it, not to explain it, but to explain it. It was gonna be as sort of a gift to my parents. And from there, I was gonna use that as a beginning experience. I was gonna pay for it all out of pocket. I just have to do the work. This is to give me experience within my home, so then when I go out to real clients, I have something behind my belt to make me feel a little more comfortable, to gain experience. And it was gonna be something nice that I would do for my parents. The thing is that when I was explaining, once I had it all figured out and I had the design all drawn up and I had to just start making the product, the one thing I wasn't expecting was when I came up to my parents, my dad gave me a sort of very meek, a nothing response, like just kind of scoffed it off. And my mom, like you guys know, she's very aggressive at times. And the things she says is over the top, unnecessary. And I hadn't been so close to my mother where I was that her negativity was so much around my life. So when I came up to them so innocently, telling them of what I was gonna do, and when she was a complete hater and just told me how shitty the idea was gonna be, how she didn't believe that I knew what I was doing, and how I was just gonna fucking tear up holes, just make it look like shit, it's gonna come out like garbage, just very negative comments to be making towards her son, especially for something super harmless. It was something I was not expecting, but my confidence was still there. It was unshaken. If some of you remember on a previous video, I mentioned that when people tell you things, naysayers tell you things, and they say certain things that really strike you in the core, that get you deep in your heart, it might be the reason that it got to your heart was because, or hit you so deep, is because there might be a little bit of truth behind that you believe. You just don't want to. But it may be a little bit of truth behind that. You need to work on that. But when my mother told me all the negative things that she would have said, that maybe any other client could have said too, it didn't deter my confidence, which is something I hadn't experienced many times when dealing with my mother as I was growing up. This was probably the first time I really had done something where no matter what negativity that she told me, it didn't shake me. I was very solid. That if she was a real client, I had an answer for every little issue that she was going to tell me. Now in that situation, my mother isn't a client, and all I did was just take it on the chin and stop talking to her, because I knew that was a fruitless battle. I wasn't going to win anything from sitting in there butting heads with her. She's just a naysayer. So I kept walking. I'm still going to do whatever I was going to do. I just don't need her support to actually succeed. That ship's been done and sailed years ago, but I've grown and I've built sort of resilience enough to where I know I don't need her. I don't need her support. Even yet, how much she wants to drag me down with what she says isn't enough. I don't even feel it. And I tell you, a lot of the things that she would tell me is nothing. It doesn't, whatever anybody else, any other client on the outside world could possibly say, it doesn't even hold a candle to the amount of negativity that my mother would tell me. So when I go about the world, you know, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. And it's the same thing when you're gonna be doing anything. If you're gonna go ask that one girl who's you've been eyeing for a while, go ask her for her number. Or you're gonna get a new business started, or anything. You're about to compete in front of a group of people, and you don't feel ready. That's the type of confidence that you need. Confidence where it is unshaken, where you know what you could do and believe it, and you can come out on top. I remember one time when I was in high school, I was among a group of friends, and it was a group of guys mixed with a group of girls, and a few of us guys started getting riled, and then one of them wanted to arm wrestle me, and he said he could beat me. He openly said he could beat me in arm wrestling, because he said he was claiming he was stronger than me. And I'm not gonna don't believe he was stronger than me, so I arm wrestled him, which isn't the best way to determine strength, but we were high schoolers and he was trying to show some bravado. So I took his challenge and I beat him. It wasn't super quick, but it was enough where I knew I was gonna beat him again if I tried. But after that loss, instead of taking it on the chin and saying, oh, you know what, maybe you're right, you are stronger, or good match or whatever, he told me, whatever, at least I know I can still lift heavier weights than you. Now, I never seen the guy at the gym. I never worked out with him, so I don't know about that claim. So I didn't at that moment waste the energy and time to argue with him that he couldn't. I didn't know, so I didn't fight that battle. But as time would have it, I came back one year when I was in preseason football and in high school. I eventually had the opportunity to weightlift right next to him. And the way the scenario came up to be, it was like fate. Because for some reason on football, they had me as a lineman, and I didn't like that position. I didn't excel at that position. But we were weightlifting, so I weightlifted with the lineman. And he was a lineman. And we were at this one station where we had 335, I think we were sophomores, so we had 335 set up on the bar where you would hang clean, but they just wanted us to deadlift it. And the head coach stood there in front of us, big head coach, 6'8", probably 300 pounds, big guy. And he pulled up his camera and began recording me and this other guy next to each other. The guy who arm wrestled me, he stood right next to me, and we were about to go, and the coach came up to us ready to record both of us, and everyone's working out. This is a whole circuit. Everyone's doing a circuit, so we're all in an order. But we were closer to the end. But right when the coach started recording us, for no reason, he didn't say anything, but for no reason, everyone else in the whole gym watched us. And they stopped whatever they were doing and circled around us too. So now, a fucking moment that was completely unprompted, we are now, me and him are both deadlifting with each other, and the whole team's watching. The head coach right in front of both of us. Now, I've never did 335 I built before. I think I had only done like 315, and that was a few months prior. So I didn't know mentally if I could do it. But I had enough, I believed enough where I felt like I had a good chance. But when I got set up right next to this guy, I knew I couldn't lose. And in my mind, I was like, I knew that he was not stronger than me. In my mind, I didn't have that sort of experience where I felt like I had a moment to really know that I was stronger than him. But I believed that I was better than him. And I beat him in arm wrestling. And I know I had been putting the work in the gym. So all I remember thinking to myself is that I can't not lift this weight, and that this weight is gonna go up. As we went, I remember I got the weight up so much quicker than he did, and my form was very solid. I remember the coach and a few other teammates gave me props for that, because what ended up happening is that as we both went, I had very good solid form on mine because I put the effort in my training, and he hadn't. So I think technically everybody counted his rep, but it was a very clear comparison between us, that when you put us both together, mine looked a lot cleaner and smoother, and his was a lot more rough around the edges. He barely got that weight off the ground. That I won. Among crowd opinion, everyone on the team saw it. I won. I beat him. I could lift heavier weight than this guy. And I knew it to myself. Yeah, this guy could not lift as much as me. And did I go up to him? Did I make fun of him? Did I tell him, yeah, that's right, you couldn't lift more weight than me? If I was an asshole, insecure asshole, maybe I would have. But I didn't. I kept that to myself because I remember what he said, and I remember what ended up happening. He was wrong. And I kept that to myself, and I remember that story for years now. And I remember that what that did for my confidence was so strong. It really helped reinforce, with all the little efforts that you guys put into making yourselves better, there are moments where you have opportunities to show yourself. And you have to be ready. I was physically ready. I had took time to go to the gym outside of school, to work out, to lift weight, to be ready physically to do that type of weight. But if I wasn't mentally there, if I was too shaken by everybody looking at me, everyone looking at me, thinking about how I'm looking, thinking about if I'm even strong enough, how stupid I may look, thinking that that dude's better than me, maybe I wouldn't have lifted that weight up. Maybe I wouldn't have had it up here to do it. Maybe I would have dropped it, gave up too early and dropped it, and he would have got away with an ugly rep. So then he would have still been able to brag about, hey, at least I lifted it though. At least I got the rep. Because that's what some of these people are. Petty. They care about winning. They don't care about actually being better. They just care about getting the win by anything. And I prepared. I was prepared for that. Prepared to have a victory. Prepared to be challenged. And the right opportunity just came. So you guys got to build up that confidence. Your confidence on how you need your confidence to be. It needs to be unshakable. that when you're put to those moments where people are gonna put pressure on you, put you to the test, that you could still in your heart believe that I'm ready, that I could take it on. Just bring it to me. And it's not easy. There's gonna be times where you still get those butterflies in your stomachs. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the nervousness, the anxiety, the butterflies in your stomach that you get when you go up to girls or you're trying something new and you feel stupid, you feel nervous, that'll be with you forever in your life. Maybe with what you're doing, it'll go away. I know when I first went to the gym, I had that all day. The whole time I was at the gym, I had those feelings, nervous, anxiety. But now when I go in the gym, I feel casual. I feel really good. Like I belong here. I know what I'm doing. I don't feel out of place. And it's gone. But that feeling, it still comes up. It still comes up. I just handle it differently. Because your anxiety and the nervousness and all this butterflies in your stomach, those aren't bad things. These aren't things that are like, oh my God, why am I going through them? Like, this should not be happening to me. No, it's very normal. And it happens to a lot of people. It's just how you handle it after the fact is what matters. And usually it's when I'm being very challenged or I'm in an uncomfortable situation where I know I'm not experienced in what I am doing. It really comes out. But I know how I handle that. I handle it. I usually say less than what I need to, because the more you say, the more likely you are to say something stupid. So say less, especially if you're out with a date with a girl. If you get those feelings, take your time, breathe. Don't try to always be taking sips of drinks. Don't always try to be eating. Keep that eye contact, but let them have opportunities to speak, because I know there's sometimes an issue some people have is that they talk too much on the date and they never let the other date talk for themselves. So you get those feelings, maybe it's a good time for you to shut up and let them talk. Sit in silence. Sit in silence. It's not a bad thing. You just got to get used to it. Let there be moments of silence in your life. There doesn't always have to be stimulation. But when you deal with those feelings, say you want to go to that girl and ask for her number and you're nervous and you have all these feelings. Really, it's just about going through with it. Just going through with it and asking for their number. Going through with whatever you're trying to do. It may not be the prettiest the first time. Just know, hey, when I get that chance again, I'm going to come back and it's going to be better. There was this moment in my life when I was around 19 or 20 where I was approaching a lot of women throughout my days to get experience. And I remember there was times where I would go up to women who I knew in my mind they would have most likely, like 99% of the time, just told me no when I asked them for their number. But even though I knew that in my head, they were just practice. I told them, even if I fail, this was just for experience and just for practice to get into this. And I remember this one time in particular when I went up to a girl. She was a woman who was about, I thought she looked at least 35. And the way she dressed very nice and she had a lot of confidence. You could obviously see that. But she looked older than me and I was about 19 or 20. So I knew in my head, she's going to tell me no. She's going to tell me no and just walk away, whatever. But I already had made it up in my mind that I have to go up to her. I have to go up to her and ask, because I can't be afraid of that sort of rejection, because I can't let that control me. And even though when I went up to her, I remember I was going down the aisle, and the way we were in the aisles, she was too far. I didn't want to run up to her or nothing. So I cut through the other end of the aisle, so we met each other in person, right in front of each other. So she saw me. I complimented how she looked, because she dressed very well. You could tell that she put effort in. So I complimented her on that. And then I asked her for her number. And then she asked me how old I was. And I can imagine in her head it was a little funny in the situation that I was so young asking for her number. But I did it. And she politely told me no. And I just walked away and took the defeat. And the whole time, those butterflies, that nervousness that's in my stomach was there. And as I was doing the rest of my shopping, it never left. But I did it. I remember I did it. It's one of those things where it gets easier over time, but it builds resilience very slowly. Very slowly does it build resilience. I remember telling guys a few times, to get a little off topic, I remember telling some guys that when they want to get better at approaching women, that I told them, in a no offense way, if I was out in public with them, like I remember at work, or not at work, I was at we were out getting something to eat, so we were walking around the town. I remember this guy was telling me about that he was he doesn't know how to get better at approaching women. I was like, well, you just got to start doing it. And he's like, yeah, but I don't want to have him say no to me. I want him to say yes. So I was like, just get practice. And I was like, what do you mean just get practice? I told him, just find women who you may not even want to be in a relationship with, but just go up to them and ask them for their number. Like I remember at the time I pointed at this one woman who looked young, so they were within our age, but she didn't look, and no offense, just that attractive. I knew he wasn't gonna go for her, like date her. And I told him, just go up to her and ask her for her number. And he's like, what? Why? Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm like, why? The worst, you don't even want to be with her. So if she says no, okay, all the better. But even if she says yes, you still don't have to text her. You don't have to call her. Now that might be a little bad, because sometimes, you know, you could say it's you're technically leading somebody on, but giving somebody your number doesn't mean anything, because she could give you her number and you text it, and the next thing you know, it's fucking Pizza Hut. Like, you don't, it doesn't matter. But he didn't want to do it. So I told him, then you're never gonna get better. And they told him, why do it? Because I told him, I do it because I want to get comfortable in that scenario, to be able to ask a girl that I see on the road for their number, because you never know when you'll meet somebody. And the moment I do find somebody who I don't want to lose the opportunity, I want to be ready. The worst thing that could happen is that you find a woman walking down the street with you. Perfect scenario, it's just you and her walking down, and you just freeze up, and you couldn't talk to her, and then there she goes, walking away, doing her whole life, and you didn't have the balls to go up to her and ask her for her number because you weren't ready. That's gonna hurt and haunt you a lot more than going up to her and then her saying no. Because if she says no, then you can just walk away like, all right, well, whatever then. Okay, I'll find somebody else. Because that's gonna happen, guys. It's gonna happen, and you gotta get used to that. You gotta build that resilience. You gotta have that sort of resilience where whatever they say isn't gonna bother you. And hearing the no's, hearing the naysayers say whatever they want to say, criticism, just hate, you got to be ready for it, and you got to be unshaken. You got to be able to take the punches. It's not an easy thing, guys. I never want to say it's gonna be, but do you want change? How badly do you want change? How bad do you want to succeed? You got to put that pressure on yourself. How bad do you actually want to win? I'm telling you guys right now, you guys already know it's not going to be easy, but you got to take that first step. And depending if you're going to take that first step, it depends on how much you want it. Well, that's all I had to say for today, guys. Thank you for listening too, especially if you guys come back this far. I had to redo this one just because the video ended up coming too blurry, so I had to redo it, but it's okay. I said a lot more things that I wanted to. It's a little more cleaner this time. Just don't, guys, remember the biggest thing, don't take things personal. People live their own lives way too much. Get off the internet. Stop listening to every little comment you see on the internet. I see so many more terrible people in the comment sections of like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I see so much more hateful, negative people there than I actually do when I talk to people on the real world. Because sometimes, guys, those people who are have a lot of, puff their chest out and say a whole lot of shit online are the people who say absolutely nothing to you in person because they have no balls to say it to your face. So if you believe what they have to say on the internet through a screen, really has no power on it out here once you ignore that. So live your guys' life. Get out of the internet. The screen you're looking at, forget about it. Especially if you want to start finding women, stop going through dating apps. Now, I got lucky and found my girlfriend through a dating app, but through all the hate and all the rejection and the negativity that I got from that app, I'm glad that I'm away. And I most likely will never go back. Even if, God forbid, anything happened in my relationship, I could never go back to that, because the people that are on there are probably the worst type of people. And sometimes you get lucky and you find somebody who is serious with you, who was looking for somebody serious. But sometimes you two just aren't the right fit. No problem against you, no problem against them. It's just you guys weren't made for each other. So save your heart. Don't put all your feelings out there on the dating apps, because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of sharks on there who are just looking for bait for people to grab and eat up. Don't be one of those people. Stay strong. Keep your heart close to you, and the love that you have to give, always have value to that. Always know what you can give and what you can offer. Sentimentally, physically, just know what you can offer and believe in it. You guys will be okay. You'll be okay. Keep trying, guys. See you guys later.